Steve, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Tony.
It's great to talk to you yet again. We do this every year on New Year's Day, don't we?
Yeah, that's why we go to bed so early the night before.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, really early to get up and talk goals. We've been
Yeah,
doing it for over a decade on New Year's Day. And
yeah.
the reason it's sort of so good and so important to talk to you is that you've been at the forefront of mindset and performance and neuroscience for that decade. And in fact, I met you originally on our NLP trainer training all those years ago. So you're the perfect person to talk about habits and human performance and getting it right at the start of the year.
Well, thank you for those kind words. Let's hope so.
Yeah, well, you are very welcome. So now, what is the problem? I guess part of the problem is that we're all really enthusiastic about setting goals. We do that at the start of the year, and by February, they've all gone in the bin. And every year we try and sort of figure out why that might be and how people can set good goals and, or I guess even more than setting good goals, achieving what they want in life. And that is something that we naturally think about at the start of the year, isn't it? So we've taught goals for over a decade. What's changed in how you think about goal setting today from when we first started doing it, which was probably 11 years ago?
Well, I would say everything's changed.
Mm,
I feel 180 degrees different about goals and the importance of them. Now, that's not to say the last 10 years have been a waste of time and that both of us got it wrong, but I think we've evolved to, I'd like to say, a higher level where other
mm.
things become more important.
Yes. Um, but is that a function of age or is it a function of trend? Because inevitably, as we get older, other things do become more important. And maybe, I mean, certainly, when I first met you, when did we first meet? It was 2005, was it?
2008, I think.
2008. Okay, so I was
No,
only, I was
2007, perhaps.
right. Okay, yeah.
On the
So
trainer's course, isn't it?
early 30s, very driven in a slightly different way to that I am now. And I'm sure your priorities, well, I know your priorities have changed over the years as well. So is it just age or is it something else?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's age, because that's not a word that I don't really understand what that means. But perhaps it might be, dare I say, wisdom or an accumulation of experience.
Mm,
And then we go through different levels of life, as Shakespeare said, and different things were important at different times. I mean, when I had two young kids, they were the
mm.
priority for everything. Now they've grown up, and unfortunately, they still think they're the priority for everything. But I guess
Yeah.
that's nice. I guess that's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, and that is what I mean by age. I mean the different phases of life that come along and perhaps realign your priorities. Um, and that's all I mean by it, really. And I guess a lot of people do seem quite exhausted by traditional goal setting methods. And I wonder if we are sort of due a new approach. When you said everything's changed, let's go through it then. When we first met, we were doing very much the sort of conventional NLP goal setting, weren't we? New Year's Day comes down, and I would do a whole review of the year in every area. I'd look at everything. So firstly, work, then family, then relationships, and health, charity, and that's probably what I would look at. And then I would set up my goals for the time ahead and I'd date them. Now I don't do any of that. What about you?
Don't do any of it.
No.
In
And
fact, you're giving me a
yeah.
migraine just listing all those things.
So what do you do instead?
Um, I know this is a real cliche, but I just do my best to live in the present.
Mm,
And when you say, when I said a few moments ago that everything's changed, really that's not very accurate, because
mm,
if anything, I've gone back to philosophies that are thousands of years old,
mm.
and I find wisdom there, and some of the things that we talked about 10 years ago and even now, it's not original. They've been said right back to those days by, people who were a lot smarter than we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve, that crackling has come back on your line.
Okay. Do you want me to change the mic?
Have you got a mic?
I've got a roadie I can hook in. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were able to, that'd be really good. Yeah, just because for some reason that crackling's come back, and I know it will annoy people if it's on for the whole podcast.
Yeah.
I'll make a note to do an edit for the. Okay, say something.
How's this? Is this any better? Not sure. I
No,
maybe need
it's
to
still
change
happening.
something here. Okay,
It's
hold
still
on a
doing
minute.
it.
I'm trying to figure out how to change my mic here. Oh, here we go. Roadie. How about that? Through the roadie now.
Oh my God, that's loads better.
Is it?
Absolutely loads better.
Okay.
It's like 100 times better.
All right. Okay, maybe I should use this more often then.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Good.
Okay, great. Good. Okay, let's carry on recording then. Okay. So I think living in the moment and sort of going with the flow is good advice. But I want to add some things around behavior change and human performance that I have noticed working with clients over the last few years that seem to work consistently well. And so I'm going to sort of put them out there, and then you tell me if you agree with them or do something different with yours. Because just saying, I'm just going to see what happens is way too right brain for me. And I remember when you were doing public speaking and you were playing around with this stuff for the first time, and you said, you know what, I'm going to get up on the stage in front of 400 people and I'm not going to have any notes and I'm going to see what happens. I mean, you remember that, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, that would terrify me. But I could learn from a little bit more of that approach. That said, having some sort of plan works very well. And I think one of the first steps that seems to work consistently well is Cialdini's accountability principle, which is basically the more that you are publicly held accountable to what you want to change, the more that you're likely to change it. And I have felt that when I work with clients and I ask them to send me a simple WhatsApp message every evening, they're just more likely to do whatever it is that they want to do more of.
Yeah, I can see that. But again, I think I mean, we're going back a long time to Cialdini.
Mm.
And so I think if we can go halfway between, I mean, obviously, I'm not sure what I said to you. I would never go on a stage without having thought about it.
Yes.
But I wouldn't have a list of things that I had to cover in that time. I would know how I was going to kick off the session. And then really ride on the back of that. I try to get a lot of audience interaction. And also, it's not as daredevil as it might sound, because it's based really now, same as you, on years of experience. I mean,
Yeah.
I spend so much time every day, 7 days a week, studying and thinking about the kind of stuff that we both do. That, although I hesitate to say it, I mean, I think we are experts now in our fields.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound arrogant, but I mean, the fact is we know a lot. We've been at the coalface a lot. We've mined a lot of coal.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to New Year, I think you want to be sort of, you sort of think about the big picture. And as you say, maybe not particularly consciously, maybe you're not writing down goals, or maybe you are. But then I do feel, even if you're not writing down your big New Year's resolutions, there is some sort of habit change that has to come at a day-to-day, hour-by-hour, minute-by-minute basis. And that's where some sort of structure can be really helpful, especially as we call it, or I think as James Clear calls it, habit stacking, where you're doing one thing along with another. So the other day I was talking to a client. He loves meditating and he quite likes walking meditation. And he knows he goes for a walk after his lunch every day. We're like, great, let's put your meditation there, and you know you'll do it every day. And then we put accountability on top of that. And so he's messaging me every time that he does it, and on WhatsApp. And then we also put a punishment on it as well. So if he doesn't do it for the next 2 weeks, every day he doesn't do it, he owes me €1, which seemed like a fun way to put accountability in. So all of those things, I think, actually do help his bigger goal of being a master meditator.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm sure that does help.
Mm,
Um, but at the end of the day, there's only one person that we're accountable to, and that's ourselves. And the few things that I think are important in life, I don't need to remind myself to do them. In fact, the things that that are helpful, that get me through life, I do them now because they're a pleasure.
mm,
Nobody has to tell me. I spend some time in meditation every day. I take exercise at least once every day. You know, I go on my treadmill for 20 minutes a day, every day. I don't need anybody to tell me to do that. And I think those are the best kind of goals because they become hardwired.
What about luck? When we think about luck, you've obviously written about luck, and you've written a brilliant book about luck, and that is something that you've talked about a lot, to other people, both in your public speaking, in your books, and your podcasts, and your webinars, and so on. And I remember you telling me that luck is no accident. When we look at luck in terms of people listening and how 2026 might look for them, do you still sort of think that luck is no accident? And if it's not an accident, what do we need to do to get lucky?
Well, if anything, my views have hardened on it. That I don't think that luck is random. I do think there are things we can do,
Mm,
and they're the kind of things that you talk about regularly on your podcast, and as do I. And the big change since last year when we recorded this show is you know this already. Out of the blue, I was offered this job as a correspondent for the European,
mm,
and I didn't think particularly lucky at the time because I
mm,
wasn't sure at the beginning I wanted to do it. But now that I've got into it, I mean that's what's taking up a lot of my time, and um, most of the articles that I write, they're based on interviews that I have with successful people, very successful people. And they sometimes may not talk about luck, but they will all say, well, there was nothing too special. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right people. Well,
mm.
if that's not luck, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
And and it goes back to what you were saying about being accountable for your actions and things.
Mm,
These people who are at the top, when you talk to them or meet them, you know that it's not an accident because they have these habits that you talk about that are, they're non-negotiable.
mm,
In fact, that's one
mm.
of the questions I ask in most of my interviews. What are the things in your life that are non-negotiable? And they'll talk very often the kind of things that you talk about, and
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So the other way that I try and get these views across is that there's only three things. These are three big buckets, um, and they're full of lots of stuff. But to try and make things a bit simple, there's only three things that count that we're personally accountable for, and that's mind, body, and soul. Now, are we putting something into each of those three buckets every day?
Mm,
Well, if you're going to meditate or even go for a walk or even just admire the plants in the garden or something, that's a form of meditation. You're getting outside of your own head into an appreciation of awe for the world that we live in.
mm,
Body, this is the thing that's really changed over the last 10 years. People are really looking after themselves a lot more than they were then. I mean, you go to YouTube, go anywhere, and the most popular content is often about health, the stuff
Mm,
that we eat, the stuff that we drink, um, and of course, exercise fits right in there. I mean, running is more and more popular in most countries in the world now. I think we have this thing called park run. This is
mm.
this a Saturday morning run where people get together. You don't even have to need to run. You can just walk. It's 5 kilometers usually, and sometimes you can quit halfway through if you want. Um,
Yeah.
and Sorry, we just had a bit of background noise there, Tony. I don't know what that was.
Oh, no, no worries. No, that's
Yeah.
probably just the gremlins in the system.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, anyway, to just to wrap up about parkrun, I mean, doctors in the UK, they now prescribe it. When people
Mm,
come in with kind of anxiety, I can't sleep, I'm feeling a bit depressed and stuff, or even I want to lose weight, the first thing the doctors will say, look, go to this parkrun thing.
yeah.
It's fun. You don't, the people do time you, but the times aren't important. The thing is that you just do it, and
Mm,
it does become a habit. And again, that's one of the things that I won't miss every week. And wherever I am in the world, it's pretty much always a park run. So that's a huge change.
that's
And then
great.
then mind, body, the last thing, soul. That's a bit
Mm,
harder to define. But I think there are more people who are getting into faith. That might be religious faith. It might be faith in a philosophy. It might be just a recognition that
mm,
there's more in this planet than just us. We call that the duality, the the singularity view,
mm,
where the only thing that counts is us. It's all ego. But now we're going to the duality. I've got that the wrong way around. Anyway, we used to think, okay, there's us and there's the world, but they're separate, and we are, of course, the most important thing in that. But now
mm,
we recognize that we're just a small cog, a small grain of sand.
mm. I knew
And
you'd lead us into quantum at some point.
yeah, yeah, I'm going to try not to go too deep into that because I end up confusing myself even more. But
No, no, no. I always love it when you go there. Now, Steve, would you be able to plug out and in your mic again? Because it's just started crackling a little bit. It seems that every 2 minutes, your quantum energy is getting so hardcore for the recording equipment that there's a bit of a crackle. How's that? Oh, I can't hear anything now, Steve. Maybe it's sort of I can't hear you. But don't worry, we'll do an edit here as well.
how about now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was just unplugging. It went back to took me back to the. Anyway, we're back
Okay,
on again
fine,
now.
fine.
Yeah.
Um, Good stuff. And that leads us on to the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about, which is longevity and the future of longevity. And New Year's Day is as good a point as any to talk about it, because, obviously, one of the things that shows up time and time again is community. And obviously, with Parkrun, what you're getting is you're getting community, aren't you? You're doing it with people. You're not on the treadmill for that day. You're out with people. And certainly my favorite social assignment every week here in Portugal is our weekly swim club, where we go to the beach, have a 20-minute swim. It's always very unpleasant getting in because the Portuguese sea is not very warm, as you well know, because you lived here for a while. And then we all get out and have a coffee. And there's just something so brilliant about meeting in the day, doing something healthy, not drinking beer in the pub, but just getting together and then hanging out afterwards. And it's no coincidence that when they look at Blue Zone's community as something so important, but that is something that I would sort of urge people to look at more at the start of 2026, simply because so much of the work that I do seems to be based around how we're taken away from community. And even when you look at this podcast, I mean, you and I have done nearly every New Year's Eve podcast in person, haven't we? And when I started doing this podcast, I wouldn't have even known how to do it online. And now, of course, here we are, and it's great. And you're in England and I'm in Portugal, so I haven't had to fly back for it, but at the expense of going for a lovely lunch together afterwards.
Indeed.
Yeah,
And of course, it used
yeah.
to be the other way around. I used to be in Portugal. You used to be in UK. Now Now we swapped.
That's right. I remember coming out to visit you. I think it was probably 2015, and thinking, "This is a nice life. This
Yeah,
is a lovely life you've got." And now, yeah,
uh,
it's switched around. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yes, one of the things that I'm really interested in, and what I want to develop a lot over the next 10 years or so, is the intersection of behavior change and longevity, because there's so much research that shows when your mindset around aging is positive, you are healthier. You've got less inflammation, your brain works better, and you live 7.5, 8 years longer. And when you're very negative about your age and around your place in the world at a certain age, then you live 7.5 years shorter. And so it's really interesting. And I think that's when you consider that is more than giving up smoking or lowering your blood pressure or dealing with existing health conditions. That's pretty amazing, and definitely is not really something that people think about very much.
You're right, and we don't think about it enough. I mean, that's why when people ask me how old I am, if possible, I don't tell them. In fact, sometimes I have to think, well, what exactly how old am I? Because I think it's a trap you can fall into.
Mm,
Now, here's a health warning for everybody, particularly if they're 50 or older. There's
mm.
one word that should never pass your lips, and it begins with an R. Any guessing about that, Tony?
Is it retired?
It certainly is. When you've
Is it
just
right?
said
Yeah,
that
yeah,
word.
yeah. Oh God.
No,
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
So
look,
that. Yeah.
it's there's some science behind this that goes back
Mm,
years ago. I think it was
mm,
a study at Boeing, and they showed that people who took early retirement, maybe if they retired like 3 years earlier or 5 years
mm,
earlier, they lived better, they lived longer than the ones who carried on until they could, they reached the retirement age. But then it's what
mm,
you do when you retire. And people think, okay, I'm retired now. It means I'm going to have more time to look after the garden, more time to decorate the house. Oh,
mm,
and when that's done, what do I do then? And if they're not careful, they slip into this sort of semi slumbering state when they don't do very much, that their world gets smaller around them. Whereas, really, I mean, the great benefit of being retired, I mean, by the way, as you know, I'm not retired and I don't intend to,
yeah.
but people can retire and they can tour the world, they can go hiking, they can learn a new sport. There's loads of stuff that they can do, and some of them do, but I'd say the majority don't, which is a bit of a
Mm,
shame. They're missing out
mm, mm,
on something apart from the fact that they're going to have more fun. There is a connection between that and how long you're going to live.
mm.
Nobody
Yeah.
quite knows why that should be so, but so often thoughts that go on in our head come out into the real world, and maybe that's why people say, be careful what you wish for. But I mean, we're going into the realms now back again to visualization, having this very big picture of what you want to do. That on this day, New Year's Day, what's the big picture of what we want to do? All of us want to do. We should have
Mm.
that picture.
Yes, and that goes, and that's, I would definitely recommend Arthur C. Brooks, the author who wrote about the 4 pillars of happiness. And he helps people build the life you want. And he talks about the science of happiness. He came on this podcast, and he spoke about the second half of life and how he'd observed through all the research that he'd studied that the second half of life, when you shift to living a life of purpose rather than a life of sort of accumulation or building reputation, and when you shift your focus to helping others, uh, that is linked to longevity as well as happiness. Really fascinating, and it completely ties into what you're saying. And that purpose clearly comes from work or some sort of career that doesn't involve being retired. There you go. I didn't say
Good.
it.
And it has to do, again, this is another thing that's crept up on me over the last few years, that we can never get away from our genes. And there's 8 billion people on this planet at the moment. Our gene set is almost identical.
Mm,
So again, we can't really think of ourselves as a special person. We are members of a big tribe.
Mm,
And somebody once estimated that the size of the perfect tribe is about 140 people, because when
mm,
you've got that many people, you've got enough plumbers, electricians, builders, teachers, doctors, all the rest of it to be self-sustaining,
mm,
as long as everybody contributes to the whole. And when they do, of course, and because we are genetically programmed to be social, because
mm,
if we weren't, if we were just all lone wolves, we wouldn't last very long. The reason why
mm.
we've settled in all the areas, all parts of the world, is because we've done it with groups of people. And
Yeah.
so that's in our genes, and that's possibly why we feel good when we're doing it.
And bringing it back to New Year's Day in 2026, if I was to design a 2026 goal system, it would obviously look different to yours because we think a bit differently on this, but I think there would be some similarities. And I would encourage people as well as to think about um, the daily habits, which are right at the sort of low hanging fruit end of the scale. You know, if you can develop that, let's say, okay, you want to relax more in 2026, or you want more space, or you want to develop a meditation practice. That's all about your behavior and a bit of an environment. But then in NLP, we talk about this sort of structure of logical levels, which is quite a technical way of saying at the bottom, the things you can influence on a daily basis are the people around you, where you are, your environment, and your behavior. But then right at the top, you've got your values and your beliefs and your identity, how you think about yourself. And when it comes to big life-changing goals in 2026, one of the things that I think I would love to encourage people to think about more is hypnosis, which you and I originally, we really started our audiobook journey together, didn't we? And I was publishing your books, and there were elements of
Yeah.
hypnosis in all of those books. And the reason it works so well is because you can do all the behavior stuff, but ultimately you can be what the kids call raw dogging it a little bit, or white knuckling, because ultimately it's hard to keep going if at a deep level you believe yourself to be something different from the behavior that you're trying to achieve. And hypnosis changes you at a much deeper unconscious level. So it's really something to think about. And I know you just mentioned visualization there, whether you call it creative visualization or hypnosis. That is a brilliant way to make some really deep changes, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, maybe you won't want me to go into this area now, if not, tell me so. But
Mm,
over this last 10 years, I think my views on life have got simpler and simpler. And
mm,
now, when I give a talk to a group or individual client, I start with 4 questions, and then we will get into 3 actions. I
mm.
call that the 4+3 magic blueprint. In fact, I've just published that. It's a short book, and published it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for, well, not perfect. It's really, really valuable and useful in setting a
Mm.
goal. Can I just go through what those 4 questions are?
Sure. Yeah. But before that, you might need to plug in and out your microphone again.
No, not again.
It's the quantum energy, mate. I'm telling you. Hello.
Okay, how about this?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Steve. Yeah,
Okay,
sure. Go for it.
so
Yeah.
can I ask you these questions? They're not tricky questions, I don't think, in any way.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
question number one, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself for this one.
Okay.
What's your greatest gift?
I didn't realize this was going to turn into an interrogation slash therapy session, but that's all good. Um, I guess the thing that I'm good at is communicating.
Okay, so you happy to stick with that?
Yeah,
Communication?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now the important thing about the answer to this
Mm,
uh, is that, well, the interesting thing really is that some people say, I don't know
mm,
what my greatest gift is. Well, if anybody who's listening to this falls into that category, don't worry. Ask family and friends, and they will tell you. And
Mm.
then there's another group of people who are so modest they don't want to say. They think it's like boastful to say what their greatest gift is. So anyway, I'm quite sure when you say communication, Tony, I mean, as one of your friends, I would definitely say you're spot on, because you are. You spent
Oh, thank
most of
you.
your adult life communicating, and maybe as a child as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
yeah. I mean, I would love to say cricket, but
okay,
but no, that's definitely not my big skill in life.
yeah, that falls into a different category.
Yeah.
But if we can get the basics right, then other things can spring off that, and maybe
Mm,
cricket would spring off for you. So the second question is, what's your greatest desire?
mm. Um, I guess the thing that springs to mind is sort of being at peace. And I think that's quite an interesting one, because um, when I think about sort of living in 15, 20 years from now, I don't think about working until 9:30 at night. I think about sitting in the garden with a glass of something nice, being with my family and my other half, and sort of looking at the sunset, really.
Yeah. So, um, is that your greatest desire?
Being at peace or making 10 million pounds. One of the two. I'm sort of joking there, but I mean, obviously, like it would also not it'd be nice to build my business bigger, but that's not the greatest desire. I guess also the health and balance and happiness of my family.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a healthy desire,
Mm,
and
mm,
you've got it the right way round, because if you achieve that state,
mm,
I think you're going to find that these other things wrap around it. I
mm,
mean, if some people say, well, my goal is to make $10 million or something,
mm,
well, is that because somebody else thinks that's what they should do, and they'll respect them if they do? Is that really what
mm.
they want to do? Often it's not. It's a bit unhealthy.
Yeah.
So there we are. We've got a great gift. We've got a great desire, and happy and content. Um, what's stopping you from being there right now?
Is that question number three?
Yeah. What's stopping you?
What is stopping me from, well, I guess the gift is I do that for a living anyway, and I love it. And actually, I had a job where I was on TV communicating, but funnily enough, I get far more kicks out of not being TV but doing it myself, even though my audience is not in the millions like it used to be when I was on Sky Sports News, because I have the creative control over how I'm communicating. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Um, what is stopping me being at peace? And I mean, obviously, the health and happiness of my immediate family, I can only influence so much. But being at peace, I think I sort of hold on to a bit of a tension sometimes in life that can be alleviated by more hypnosis, meditation, relaxation time. And I don't do that enough. And that's where it comes back to a really interesting conversation on New Year's Day, because it's all very well saying, "Oh, I don't want to have too many goals this year, but I would love to do more of that." But what it needs is a consistent practice, and me paying you €1 a day if I don't do it, and message you at the end of the day or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I'd like to be rich, so that's helping me. Yeah. So yeah, and so for again, the for people listening in, all of us will have something that's stopping us from getting what we want. And
Mm,
when you've got a gift and you put it with your desire, and they fit together pretty seamlessly, you're
mm,
really 80% of the way there. But life is never going to be all downhill. There are going to be little
mm,
hills we have to climb. And that's what the third question is: what's stopping you? And
mm.
when I asked you that question, Tony, you answered that question. You knew exactly, not only did you know what it was, you knew what you had to do to get over that challenge.
Yeah,
A bit
yeah.
more discipline, a bit more, dedicated time and meditation stuff.
Mm, mm,
Now, these questions arose because last year I was doing a weekly half-hour TV show and radio
mm,
show, and the break would come at, it's only 30 minutes. The break would come at about 15 minutes. So as we went into the break, I was trying to get my timings right. So I
mm,
had these three questions, and sometimes I needed a bit more. So one week I added a fourth question, And from then on, every time I ask these questions, I personally get something different from it. So
Mm,
and so I know how valuable it can be,
mm,
and who knows, maybe even there's a little bit of hypnosis in the way that
mm,
we frame these questions, because they prompt fresh thought,
mm.
perhaps. So the fourth question, which I've got a feeling is the most important one, is the one that brings many of the things we've been talking about already today together.
Mm.
So the fourth question is, what would you most like to share with other people?
What would I most like to share with other people? Um, that's an interesting one. I mean, I think in terms of what I consider that I do, um, based around the sort of skills that you and I trained in and the stuff that I've written my books around, whether it's personal development or health. And there's always an intersection of sort of mindset and health in all of the books. It's two things that I really love to do, and that is to entertain and to educate. So I guess that is what I want to do. Um, is that a relevant answer?
It's very relevant. I
Yeah.
mean, the question was, what do you most want to share with other people?
Mm,
And you want to share education,
mm,
educational content, and
mm.
you want to share, what was the other thing you said?
And I want it to be entertaining. Yeah.
Yes, because yeah, and of course, um, entertainment is really important. It's the best way to engage an audience, really. I
Mm,
mean,
mm,
gosh, we're not school teachers who stand at the front of the class, or reading a lecture or something like that.
mm.
Everything now is about groups interacting, all of those fun things to do. So we're going back to the social element of longevity here as
Mm,
well.
mm,
Talked about sense of community, and we all want to feel we've got a place in community where we contribute something. So that's why these four questions, seemingly so simple, when you put them together, they really touch pretty much every base.
yeah, yeah, they're really very, very good. And it's nice. It sort of felt slightly uncomfortable being asked such deep questions on the podcast, but enjoyable as well, and thought provoking. And I'm sure people listening along at home on this the first few days of 2026 will have applied them to their own lives as well.
Well, I would like to think so,
Mm,
because why sign up for an expensive retreat or a long 3 month course or something where really these four questions you can play around with
mm,
them as much as you want.
mm,
And I'm not saying that these retreats and courses aren't good, but sometimes we make stuff so difficult that we get a migraine or stomach ache when we think about, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all this? There's
mm,
actually not
mm.
that much to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve, that is it for today. Happy New Year. I think at this point we can probably let people into the secret that we're not actually recording this on New Year's Day morning. But when it does come, you will be in Australia. And when people are listening to this, what will you be doing?
I would imagine the beach will be fitting in here somewhere, and perhaps going
Mm,
out for a nice brunch. Yeah, it'll be it unless it's the weather is really bad, and it does actually sometimes rain in Australia. That's probably will almost certainly be outdoors in the sun,
lovely.
and
That sounds dreamy.
watching the cricket as well. I think some cricket going on
Oh, wait.
there.
I mean, are you going to go to the Ashes?
I'm thinking about it. I got a choice. People who have choice are tormented. I live about halfway between Brisbane and Sydney. So which do I go to, or do I go to them both?
Oh, that's really exciting. Okay, well, I'm excited for you on that half, but this is not a cricket podcast, and unfortunately, the intersection of people who love cricket and biohacking is probably quite small.
Yeah,
But you and I are both there. So,
yeah.
Steve, thanks so much for coming on. Have a brilliant 2026. Where can people find you if they want any help? Obviously, you work a lot with poker players, with celebrities. You do a lot of mindset work with clients and groups as well. Where can people find out more about everything that you do?
The best place is my website. Maybe it's drstevensimpson.com. Maybe you can put that link with the show or something.
Yeah, we will. We'll put that in the show notes as well, so
You
people can
should
just
you
go
should
and
be able
click
to
there.
find me if you Google me.
Oh yeah, and you can also listen to all Dr. Stevens' old episodes. He's been on this podcast more than anyone else, including the time where he put some disgusting stickers on his feet to bring out the toxins. That was a good story. That was a good story. But it's been a long time we've been doing this. Steve, Happy New Year! Thanks for coming on.
Happy New Year to you, Tony, and to all of your viewers and listeners. Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you. Lovely, Steve. Thanks very much indeed. I'm still going to record because once we've finished, I'm going to record the intro for it.
Okay.
But thank you. That was great.
All right. I don't know where those 4 questions came from. I hope that didn't interrupt your flow.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I loved it. It was great. In fact, I thought it was one of my favorite parts of the podcast. I might even put it at the start. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, really thought it was good. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
Well, good stuff. So it's been about 2 or 3 years since you've moved house, isn't it? Isn't it time you moved house again?
Well, I think it's longer. I think it might be 4 years.
Wow. Are you still happy there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Definitely. We have no regrets about the part of Southeast Essex where we're living. The climate
not moving to Australia just yet.
We might possibly spend more time there. We might possibly spend more time in Thailand. We haven't visited very there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we might do that more.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. All right. Well, love to everyone. Really nice to talk. And yeah, I guess you're back, 23rd of February, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Have you got the trailer in the garden still with Lucy?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, you got to have some peace when you're living with grandchildren.
Yeah, that's brilliant. All right. Well, love to everyone. Thanks so much for doing that. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Tony. Thank you.